The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB-FM. Thank you for listening.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Hi, everybody. I'm Benita Adams. This week on Hampton Roads Voices, we're talking about your health. What are the diseases and health conditions that strike the Black community the most, and what can be done about it? What are your health and fitness goals, and how are you meeting the challenge? We have health and fitness experts here in the studio, but we want to hear from you, our listeners. Don't forget to call us at 757-823-9110. Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their communities. We're talking about your health. Hot 91.
It's Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Hi, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and welcome back to Hampton Roads Voices, where you, people, speak life into their communities. Today, you're going to really like our topic because we're talking about your health and your fitness goals, especially in the Black and African American community, and we want to know what your goals are. And because this is a conversation and we want to hear from you, make sure you call in with your questions at 757-823-9110, 757-823-9110. What are your fitness and health and nutritional goals? Because all of us have them. Is it difficult perhaps for you to lose weight or eat a healthy diet? Are you trying to lose weight and you're not quite sure where to go with that and how to get started? Are there any health concerns or health conditions that perhaps run in your family? We're going to be talking about that today. Our in-studio guest, our first, is Dr. Keith Newby. He's a cardiologist, and his practice is at Fort Norfolk Plaza Medical Associates. Dr. Newby, thank you so much for being here.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Ken Williams, he is a fitness expert, award-winning personal trainer, boot camp women, Body by Ken, and trainer to the stars. Ken, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Benita.
All right, let's jump right into this conversation because we, again, want to answer some questions, have a conversation about fitness, health, and nutrition, and we want to answer some questions from our listeners. Again, the number is 757-823-9110. Now, Dr. Newby, I'm going to start with you and ask you, what health conditions or diseases are most common among African Americans?
Well, I think the first one that people may not necessarily consider as a health issue, but it is a predominant problem and leads to a bunch of health problems is obesity. If you look at that, that is probably one of the biggest problems we run into, especially in the African American community, because it leads to things like diabetes, hypertension, severe arthritis, and there are other things that can come out of that as well. But that is probably one of the biggest problems we have. If you look at, this even percentage-wise, and as I'm learning some of this myself, I didn't realize the prevalence was so high for obesity. I mean, we're looking at over half of the African American population is morbidly obese. Half. We're not talking 5%, 10%, but over half is morbidly obese. You talk about overweight, it's almost 80%. So when you look at that as a potential, that really can lead to problems that leads to these other problems that leads to heart disease, which is where I come in.
Right.
So people don't want to see me.
They
don't want to see me.
We want to catch them on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You want to hear me on the radio, but you don't want to see me in the hospital.
Exactly.
Now that begs the question: when you said half, I've not even heard that. That is amazing to me. Half morbidly obese and 80% overweight. Where is this coming from? And are we seeing this? And if so, what? And that's going to lead to Ken in a moment. But what are we doing about that? Where is this coming from? Why is that the case in our community?
Well, I think a lot of it's just lifestyle. I mean, that's really the bottom line. And marketing has got to where everything is supersized. You go to fast food places and our choices. I mean, and unfortunately, for a lot of people, they feel that it costs too much to eat healthy. I mean, you really look at, I can go to McDonald's, get $1 meal, and eat a bunch of stuff that'll get me fat quick. Or I can spend, 3 times as much, possibly to get a healthier meal, even though there are ways around that are clear, but we don't really understand that and know that. So unfortunately, our lifestyle, we're deep with the technology age, we're exercising less, we're sitting around more, our exercise is push a remote control button. And that has led to a lot of this obesity rates. I mean, think about when you were a kid. When I was, of course, I'm older than all you all in here, but, when I was a kid, my mom kicked me out the house after I did my chores and, make sure you're home before the street lights come on. So I'm out there playing ball on my bike. Everything was about activity. Now, you can't kick kids out the house. They want to sit in there playing video games and on the computer, which is not to say there's anything wrong with that, but you got to balance it all.
Absolutely. So when you say that, so are you looking, talking to our listeners, are you looking to find out more about how you can perhaps start a exercise regimen? Are you looking to see how you can have a healthier lifestyle? Don't forget, we want to hear from you at 757-823-9110. Now, Ken, you heard what he said in terms of the percentages of what's going on in our own community and how there used to be a time, I remember that time, when we went outside and we played jacks and marbles and jump rope and those kinds of things.
And all that kind of stuff.
And now it's very different. So what happens after this happens and they come in contact with you?
Yeah, well, when they come into contact with me, Benita, usually they are at the point where the doctor said, they're overweight, haven't exercised in a long time. And sometimes, since junior high school PE class. And now you are 35 or 40, and you're looking at your body and going, oh, my God, how did I get here? I'm 30 pounds over, 40 pounds over, 50 pounds over, and now I need to do something. But usually by this time, unfortunately, for some, it's come with a lot of health issues, diabetes, high cholesterol. They're on different, medications to combat, this already. And it's sad, because, lack of education, I think, a lot of times in our community that we don't know these things.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Dr. Newby, do you also agree with this lack of education? When I was researching and preparing for the show, it was saying that sometimes what happens is it could be genetics or socioeconomic status. They even name racism, smoking. These are causes of obesity and hypertension and lack even of health insurance sometimes.
Oh, yes.
And do you see that, both of you?
Yes,
oh, yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunately so with, racism can lead to depression, which can lead to eating more, which can lead to lack of activity and disease processes. So everything plays a factor. Part of the issue is how do we deal with that? What are the processes in which we deal with the racism? What are the processes in which we deal with depression? And just life in general. With technology and ease of access to things, we've gotten lazy. Just call it what it is.
Right. Exactly.
We've gotten lazy.
Right.
We take the easy way out of things. Unfortunately, so it's led to a lot of these heart issues and health issues. And I tell people all the time that high blood pressure, the diabetes, I'm gonna tell you how bad it is. We in the cardiology world, and there's data that demonstrates this. If you are diabetic, we assume you have heart disease. Because if you look at prior studies, it shows that people, one of the big markers we use for heart disease is if you've had prior heart attacks or some other cardiac event. Data demonstrates that if you've had a heart attack as a diabetic, there's the equal. Let me go back. What they say is that if you've had a second heart attack, everybody who's at high risk for a second heart attack is ones that had a first heart attack, of course. So they say that if you're diabetic, your risk of having a heart attack is the same as persons had a heart attack previously.
Really?
Yeah, and that is the point that is I want to make sure I emphasize is that we assume if you're diabetic that you have heart disease because of that particular study that was pretty profound in this I guess how it came out, the number of patients that were in that study and what it demonstrated. So we really take diabetics seriously as it relates to the potential for development of heart problems. And we know that is still the number one killer is heart disease.
Heart disease. Right. Absolutely. Well, we want to hear from you. Our numbers are 757-823-9110. What do you need to know in order to start an exercise regimen? And don't let the word exercise scare you. We'll talk about it. It could be baby steps. What do you need to know in terms of heart health conditions? Maybe there's something that runs in your family. Maybe you're not quite sure. We have our experts here, 757-823-9110. We're talking about your health and fitness. This is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
If you're just joining us, I'm Benita Adams, your host for Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their communities. Today, we're talking about your health and fitness goals and challenges. And our in-studio guests are Dr. Keith Newby, who is a cardiologist, Fort Norfolk Plaza Medical Associates. Welcome again, Dr. Newby.
Thank you.
And Ken Williams, fitness expert and boot camp women, Body by Ken. Thank you, Ken, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Benita.
All right. Now, we have heard an amazing statistic, and we do have some callers on the line. But, Dr. Newby, you said half of all people of color are morbidly obese and 80% are overweight. And that's why we're having this conversation, because it really does make a difference in how we can decrease those numbers. So let's jump to the phones and see who's on the line. Caller, may I have your name and where you're calling from? Hello, may I have your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, this is Danielle. I'm calling from Norfolk.
Okay,
Virginia.
Danielle, okay. What is your question or comment for our experts?
Oh, I was listening, and this certain episode is really important for me. I just moved to the area, and I have always kind of been an avid person that worked out a lot, and I had taken about 3 months off, and when I got to Norfolk, I realized that there was the Boot Camp for Women HD program by Body by Ken. Mm-hmm. I went just kind of based off of a Groupon, and I was so excited when I got there that it was so much more than a class for me. And I just kind of wanted to give a shout out to Ken Williams. He is an amazing, amazing trainer. And I have cardiovascular issues within my family. And it's always kind of been high on my priority list to stay as healthy as possible. But eating was always a big challenge for me as well. And I kind of never was really conscious about it. Mm-hmm. And Ken really kind of pumps it into you, kind of following, knowing what you're putting in your body and being really cognizant of those things. And yes. I've never had a trainer that cared so much.
Thank you.
And it's super important. I have a cousin, he's about 350 pounds, and I think just the accountability of having somebody that kind of, talks to you about your health, your what you're putting in your body, your nutrition, and just having the community of people that are at the boot camp. Because there's the Boot Camp HD program, which is for people who are a little more kind of, physically fit, and we get an incredible workout. And then there's the Begin Fit program, and there's the women that are a little more early in their fitness journey. And it's just amazing to have that group of people that are kind of there for you and that you could talk to and talk about either, accountability and healthy recipes, healthy lifestyle, someone to work out with on a Saturday morning.
Oh yeah.
So I love that you're bringing it all together, because I don't want to see that doctor that talks.
I know that's right. Yeah, you don't want to see Doc.
I don't want to meet him
you don't want to meet
ever.
Doc.
I'm sorry.
I know that's right.
You hurt my feelings.
Danielle,
another personal Doc.
You said, look, you're not hurting my feelings. Ken,
yes.
Ken,
thank you, Danielle.
Danielle, thank you so much for
Glad
that.
you love the program. Thank you.
And Ken, that's important that she said that, because there are different levels of fitness.
Yes,
and a person has to say, okay, I haven't exercised since high school or college or something.
Or junior high.
or junior high or whatever,
class, right.
Middle school. Okay. All right. You haven't exercised since that time. But it's not too late.
Never.
You can go ahead and get started and talk about that kind of thing.
Yes,
some baby steps even.
Yeah, you have to take baby steps, Benita. Everyone thinks that, they have to get off the sofa and just get right into a marathon. Well, you don't run marathons if you can't even run to the block without getting tired, So you have to take baby steps. And I think this is where a lot of the people, Benita, will fail in their fitness journey. And you notice that people refer to the word when they say fitness, they put journey in it, because it is, Benita. It's a journey. And yourself from your workout, that it's been a journey. It's not a trip up the street to Richmond. Sometimes for us, if we're trying to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds, it's a trip. It's a journey.
Yes, it is.
And you're going to Florida, and so you might as well just put the car on cruise control and get some CDs and just relax instead of trying to take on too much. And that's what happens when a lot of people fail. They take on too much in the beginning rather than taking baby steps. They jump out, I want to lose 30, 40 pounds. I get a lot of people around this time of year. It's the vacation season, right? And so people want to lose weight because they got their cruise going on. They got the family reunion coming up. And so they want to lose, I need to get in your class right now. Okay, what's the big occasion? Well, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds. 20 pounds, okay, that's easy, okay. when are you trying to do this? And I pretty much know the answer before they say it. Well, see you next month. I'm going on vacation. I said, well, sweetheart, really, you should have been here back in January trying to lose, 20 pounds for June, because it doesn't come off that fast. I know we didn't put it on fast, and it's not going to come off fast. So you have to take baby steps, and that's just walking around the block. Well, you said I can't run. Okay, well, you walk, run around that block for the first week. By the second week, you're jogging a little bit. By the third week, you actually running, or and then now you're taking on 2 blocks. Okay, so you take baby steps, and you don't go into it. You're trying to lose 20 pounds. In 1 month, you lose 5 pounds that month. Because 5 pounds is a lot. Actually, if you're doing 1,500 calories a day, that the max you should be losing is a pound and a half to 2 pounds a week.
Right.
And that's good. That's really good. That's the max. So you have to take baby steps. People have too much expectations. Yes, sir.
I tell you what you run into is people have this interesting way of saying that, okay, they say they want to lose the weight,
right,
and they'll say, okay, I want to get in this exercise program,
right,
and then they eat just as much as they exercise.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And,
right.
And I run to that all the time. The famous last words in the cardiologist's office is, "But doc, I don't eat that much."
I know, right? So, exactly.
And I always say, and I have to say, define what that means.
Exactly.
Because if you're 100 pounds overweight,
yes, sir,
you didn't get that way by starving yourself.
Right. I know, right.
So you try, and it takes a lot of calories to maintain that weight.
It sure does.
So when you really look at people, and I tell people all the time, listen, we all have had our health challenges,
right?
And this is not a time to be to try to beat you up about it,
right? Exactly.
But you have to be realistic, in what you're doing and adding to your problem.
Exactly.
And I tell them, I say, if you're going to, there was a article, I don't know if anybody will remember this. This was written probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was in Time magazine. It was called The Myth of Exercise. And what it really looked at, they had a muffin in the middle of this comment. It said, okay, what kind of activity would it take to burn off that muffin? And there was a lot of activity.
Yes, sir, that you had to do.
And the thing that they said was that people, unfortunately, so when they exercise, the downside is they get hungrier.
Yes.
So it's going to tend to make you want to eat more, which almost offsets now it's not to say don't exercise. I'm not saying that. I want to make sure you're clear. That activity helps your heart in many, many, many ways. All your muscle groups, everything. Yes. But you have to, if you're trying to lose weight, you have to figure out that balance to cut back as much as you're exercising, so that the balances offset more in the favor of losing weight than gaining weight.
It's sure right. And like you said, Doc, a lot of times I have a little grid I use. I said, well, you have to know what you want to be when you grow up in fitness. You have to be either, when I've gone into universities to analyze their football program and, set up a diet program, a nutrition program for them, you have to establish what categories each player's in. Either he's a gainer, a maintainer, or a loser. Now, and I said, that's a good model for just everyday boot camp. My ladies, and I said, so you have to establish what you want to be. If you want to lose weight, then you have to do those 1,500 calories a day. You can't be doing 2,000, 3,000 calories a day. If you want to gain, because some people want to gain. Some people come in, they're underweight, so they're trying to put on some muscle tone. Then you're eating more, food, but more food high in protein. And now, if you want to be a maintainer, okay, well, you come to the workout program just so you can eat more. And then some people do that, And I said, I was one lady that said, yeah, you're a maintainer. You come to my program just so you can eat what you want to eat. She said, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I was like, yeah, no, I am, because your weight's the same, for 5 years. Right. So, you don't work out so that you can eat more, or more bad stuff, because even though you may be maintaining that weight, you say, well, I'm not getting any heavier, but you got to think about what you're doing to your heart, right, Doc? All that, your arteries are clogging up, and you got to think about your heart. I always try and use the analogy, of, I use a lot of analogies, Benita can tell you, about, because I think it helps people to understand pretty much what's going on with your body. I said, it's like you taking a tractor trailer and dragging it up down the street every day or towing it with your little car.
Yeah.
You know, that's the extra stress that you're putting in your heart when you're 30 pounds over, 40 pounds over, 50 pounds over. Because now your heart has to work 3 times as hard to carry that weight, you know, and to pump that blood to your heart, because your heart's a muscle too. So, I tell you, you know, it's exercise and proper diet, you know, in our community is so key. And that's how we'll combat, you know, a lot of these diseases.
And that proper diet issue is
very much.
That's a key term you said right there.
Yes, sir.
That's
proper
right.
diet, man.
Let me reintroduce. Again, this is Hampton Roads Voices. I'm Benita Adams, your host, and you're hearing from fitness trainer Ken Williams and cardiologist Dr. Keith Newby. And we just heard from one of our callers. The number is 757-823-9110. We want to hear from you. What are your fitness goals? What program perhaps are you in? What kind of diet or lifestyle are you on and that you're a part of? And Dr. Newby, Danielle said that cardiovascular issues or disease is in her family and her family history. What does a person need to be aware of if there's someone like Danielle and they know that this is something that potentially could be a problem for them?
Well, I think the first step is defining, when we say family history, a lot of times you have somebody that had a grandfather that had a heart attack and he was 75. That doesn't define a family history that puts you at increased risk. What we look at in the cardiology world is premature cardiovascular disease. 55 years of age or less, first-degree relatives, father, mother, brother, sister, who have heart attacks or some cardiac event at a young age, that puts you at a genetic predisposition. Then you have to start saying, okay, if you have a genetic predisposition, one of the first things I tell people is you have to make sure you are getting regular physical exams. You know, you don't have to do it every 6 months, maybe once a year, but you identify what's your risk that develop heart disease and what you can do to try to prevent that. If you're overweight, you know you need to lose weight. If you have hypertension, you need to have that under good control. If you have diabetes, that needs to be under good control. If you can control those risk factors, you can control the potential for heart disease. So I tell people time and time again, that is going to be key. Identifying the risk, make sure you're addressing the risk, and you can see the benefits of that down the road. You can't do one without the other. You know, if you're active, you got to cut back on the food. If you cut back on the food, you need to increase your activity. All that plays a factor with the development of these disease processes and then their complications.
And that's something very specific, and as you said, those parameters. So we want to hear from you. Is that something that's part of your family? Call us, because we're talking about blacks, health, and fitness. 757-823-9110. 757-823-9110. This is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and in studio we have cardiologist Dr. Keith Newby and fitness expert Ken Williams. We're talking about your health and your fitness. We have some callers on the line. Let's jump right to the lines. Hello, what is your name and where are you calling from, please?
Yes, my name is Jamel. I'm calling from currently at Virginia Beach.
Janelle, what is your question or comment? You're live on the air.
How are you? I was just trying to figure out how I can start helping my body to lose weight. I had a lap band for 14 years, and my body went into starvation mode because I ate so little, and it caused me to gain weight. They removed it, and now it seems like no matter what I do, I cannot lose any weight.
Okay, so you had a procedure done and it caused your body to go in starvation mode. Ken, what about that? Have you heard about something like that?
Yes, that's why we talk about in fitness, how many times a day do we eat? 5 to 6 meals a day. And because what that does is every time you're eating, Benita, it makes your body metabolism, increase. And when your body's metabolism, when you're eating, your body has to work to break down the food. So now your metabolism increases, and every 2 or 3 hours, your metabolism goes back down, down to the ground. So now you have to do something to get it back up moving. So once again, you eat again. So now when she wasn't eating, her body was going into starvation mode. It was telling her that, we're starving. So it was holding on to the body fat that it had. So that's why she wasn't, losing any weight. So now what she has to do is start putting exercise and fitness into her lifestyle, weight-bearing exercises, which is going to help her increase her muscle tone. And now, a lot of times, women having, and I'll say because of the women's bodybuilding back in the old day, Benita, kind of distorted what weight training does to a woman's body. Of course, women can, go to extreme with it if they want to and look like a man, but, you don't have to. That's not what weights do. You're not going to go into the, my good friend, 8-time Miss Olympia, Linda Murray says, well, just because you pick up a tennis racket doesn't mean you're going to be Serena Williams next week.
I know that.
It takes a while to develop that. Right. Exactly. It takes a while to develop a skill. So it takes a while for your body to develop muscle tone like that. So don't be afraid of the weights. Go into the gym, start lifting weights, start adding muscle tone back to your body, because see what happens is that when you did the lap band, most likely before you started, your procedure with the lap band, you weren't doing a whole lot of exercise that was promoting muscle tone. And, muscle burns fat. So, we talked about that today, about, for every pound of muscle that you gain, your body burns 50 extra calories a day. So just think, you put on, you gain 2 pounds of muscle, you're burning an extra 100 calories a day. So you need muscle. Muscle is so key in the promotion of fat burn in your body. So get in the gym, start working out, get you some, or if you're at home, you don't have a gym membership, buy you some dumbbells, start doing the curls and building the muscles, doing squats at home, building the muscles in your legs and your butt and your thighs. Start getting active, and once you start putting on muscle tone, you'll find your body's weight start to decrease, and you'll feel better too.
Janelle, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the call.
We have another caller. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from? Please, you're live on the air.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is
evening.
Alicia, and I'm calling from Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And my comment/question is mainly because my fitness goal is to currently be extremely more flexible. I am a mid-30s, almost upper 30s wife and mother, and I've always been between the weight of 89 to 98 pounds most of my life. I have 2 teenagers, and I've always had an issue with gaining weight, but I've always wanted to be extremely flexible. I've always been a student athlete, and I'm still doing that. And currently right now what I've noticed is, especially in the African American community, is that we also have a tendency to forget. We do a lot of focusing on physical health, but not realizing just how much our mental health can affect our physical health. And as of right now, I know personally for me, my fitness lifestyle has a lot to do with yoga and meditation, because I had a traumatic event happen and my body turned on me, and I thought it was everything to do physically, and I didn't realize it had more to do with something mentally.
Yes.
And I had to fix both of those problems before I could see my body start to return back to a normal state of homeostasis.
Right.
I'm a very active woman. I teach dance, and I'm always moving around. So cardiovascularly, I know my heart is getting a lot of exercise. But I want to make sure, for me, being that I'm so petite, that one, I bend and don't break.
Okay.
And that I maintain a certain healthy weight, so that as I do get older, I know I will eventually have issues probably with bone deterioration. So just having that, and just knowing that, okay, I need to gain weight just to have that muscle tone on me, but not gain too much to the point where I'm no longer flexible.
Right. And, that's something, you mentioned a few things here that we were actually going to talk about, here in this segment. Mental health and how it affects your physical health, that's so key. But in terms of your flexibility, you, as you exercise and you gain muscle tone, it doesn't necessarily, take away from your flexibility. Is that what you're concerned about?
Yes, I've been in the gym, and I'm doing a lot more with weights, and I'm noticing the more I do with weight training, the harder it is for me to do things flexibility-wise, like get back into those handstands and those extensions and those splits. I'm like, okay, do I have to give up one to have the other?
No, not exactly. It's just that when when you add muscle to your body, this is foreign to your body, and so because you're not used to carrying that extra muscle, and so you just have to adjust to it. And once your body adjusts to the extra, weight. Well, not extra weight, but they say muscle. And they always say muscle weighs more than fat.
It's fat,
and Doc, I always kind of disagree with that, because I think they say it wrong, because muscle is more dense than fat, because 50 pounds of feathers, 50 pounds of lead, which is heavier. Well, 50 pounds is 50 pounds.
Exactly.
So why is fat and muscle heavier than fat? That doesn't make any sense. So no, it's more dense. It's thicker. 50 pounds of feathers, you have to take a potato sack to make it up. 50 pounds of lead is tight and condensed, about the size of your arm. So, you become, you may feel less flexible because have to just kind of get used to, adjusting to the new muscle tone. But it's not going to, necessarily, decrease your flexibility. And I've heard that a lot of times, when it comes to a lot of people who are in different sports or activities. Like I've always heard, karate people say, but back in the day, 30 years ago when I was younger, that, I don't want to put any muscle on because it's going to, affect my flexibility. Well, you see a lot of the new fighters, who have muscle. I mean, look at the guys in UFC. They have a lot of muscle tone. They stay in the gym, and it's not hurting their flexibility.
Absolutely.
So it's just a matter of just learning how to adjust to that new muscle. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for your call.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Newby, Alicia mentioned a couple of things. She talked about the physical and the mental connection that she experienced, and she also talked about, the yoga and the meditation. So in your experience, in your practice and so forth, what is the connection between the physical and the mental health piece? How does one affect the other?
Well, I think if you look at stress itself, mental health, meaning your ability to deal with stressful situations, impacts a lot based on how it impacts you, meaning a lot of people that are under increased stress, you're going to increase your adrenaline levels, which can impact heart. It impacts coagulation factors, which can lead to heart attack. As you talk about clot formation in the heart. So when people are under stress, that can lead to heart attacks. And we talked about that during one of our breaks. There is an entity, and it's lovingly called broken heart syndrome, which is a true medical entity of people under times of duress or stress that can develop clot formation in the heart, causing heart attacks. But once they get treated, there's no residual blockage left behind. So we've had people come in with heart attacks. We do cardiac catheterizations. We actually look at their anatomy and find that there's no blockage, but they had EKG and lab evidence of a heart attack. So we do know that the two intertwine. The biggest issue is how do we deal with it? How do we set a plan in motion that allows a person to have stress in their life, but deal with that stress efficiently, effectively, in a way that's not going to impact negatively on their health? And that's where a gentleman like Ken comes into play. How do you rechannel and refocus that stress to a place where you can deal with that stress without it impacting negatively on your health? And that's where he could jump in and really kind of talk about that, because that's really what it boils down to.
Oh yes, definitely. In my former life, I was in corporate America, and Doc, people would come to work with stress headaches. Yeah. 8 o'clock in the morning, they're getting aspirin for their headaches. And I never had that. I never understood that because I never had a stress headache in the morning. And the difference between what I was doing and what they were doing is that 5 o'clock when we got off work, I would go straight to the gym, and they would go home. And so, I had an outlet, for my stress. I had an outlet. I was working the same 50, 60, 70 hours a week they were working. But the difference was that I had an outlet for my stress. I had a way of, relieving that stress. I had that pressure release valve, and that's called exercise, And once you start exercising, you feel so much better, because when you have stress, it creates all these hormones and stress and these toxins, and it goes to your belly. We've learned that. And so just all kind of things bad things come from stress, high blood pressure, cholesterol, low sex drive. All of this is affected by stress. And so once you have add a regimen, a exercise regimen, they talk about, like I said, Doc, 30 minutes a day is what we should be doing. And 30 minutes is not really long, but 30 minutes is enough time for you to get a good workout where that you can keep your heart rate going, keep your heart healthy and strong, and keep those muscles loose, and just keep your mental health good, because that mental health thing is very important. And I find that when people are stressed out, this life in general is just not good. And I always say too, Benita, that, usually behind at the nucleus of most people's weight gain is some type of emotional trauma.
Absolutely.
And that stress caused by, and it could be the death of a loved one. It could be loss of wages. Somebody's lost their job, so loss of income. Someone could be going through a divorce. And those are the kind of individuals I find that come to me over the years. I've been in this business for 20 years now. And usually when that individual arrives at my boot camp, and usually, like I said, I have a boot camp women, so most of the women, they've gone through something. Something has caused them to gain this weight. And usually, like I said, it's something traumatic that's happened, that's caused this stress. And so now they know that, I got to do something to relieve the stress, because I'm feeling bad, my body's feeling bad, and mentally I feel bad. And I tell you, Benita, just like, Daniel said, once you get in the class, I tell you, this young lady, we just finished a 4-week boot camp program, Doc, and there's one young lady who came to the class, and, she's over in the morbidly obese area, had a hard time running, smoking, all that kind of stuff, do all the bad risk factors, poor eating choices. But 4 weeks, she is running now. She's cutting back on her smoking, almost to the point where she's eliminating it. And she feels good. Yeah. And you can tell, you can see it in her face, that she feels so much better. And so, the mental aspect of this whole thing, how we, get to bad health is so key, and you have to look there first, I tell you, people, because, a lot of times, like I said, the nucleus of the problem is usually, mental stress.
It is. And another part of that is diet. And we're going to talk about that after the break. So what type of diet, and I want to say that in air quotes, or lifestyle are you experiencing right now? Do you want to know how to eat a healthy diet? How does that affect your weight? How does it affect your heart? How is it affecting you? So give us a call, 757-823-9110. Call in and let us hear from you, 757-823-9110. We're talking about your health and your fitness on Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Benita Adams, and you're listening to Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their communities. And we've been talking about your health and your fitness. Our in-studio guest experts today are Dr. Keith Newby. He's a cardiologist at Fort Norfolk Plaza Medical Associates. Dr. Newby, thank you again for being here.
Not a problem. My pleasure.
And Ken Williams, fitness expert, Boot Camp Women Body by Ken, award-winning personal trainer and trainer for the stars. Ken, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we've been talking about, right before the break, we had a conversation by way of one of our callers in terms of the mental and the physical aspect of your health and your fitness. But another part that's so important to that is also what you eat, what you put in your mouth, what it is and how much you put in your mouth. So we've got to talk about that. So, Ken, I'm going to start with you and talk about the connection of fitness and food.
Yes. I tell you, that food is so important, Benita. And as Daniel said when she called in, 95% of what I talk about is the diet aspect of fitness. I would say, the fitness part becomes the easy part after a while. Is what you do when you leave the gym. Is what counts. This thing is just like, school. You have the classroom portion, you have your homework. And, you can't just go to class and not do your homework because you fail, So same with your fitness aspects, you can't just, go to the gym and then go home and eat what you want, which is why I never understood the Planet Fitness concept. They serve pizza on Monday. I don't get that. That's a whole nother topic. Pizza Mondays. I don't get.
So they know what gets people in there.
Right. Yeah, I seen people get off the treadmill to go get the pizza, and I'm like, people walking out with boxes. But anyway, like I said, that's another topic.
Another topic for another day.
For another day. But yes, the diet aspect of it is so important, Benita. And, a lot of times in the, we're having this real conversation, African American community, we have, I would say, we're still eating like slaves. Back in the day when we had to eat, whatever in order to, sustain energy, for working long days in the field. Spam, and right, Vienna sausage and, a lot of potatoes and, a lot of mac and cheese and, carbs, have their place in your body because you do have to have carbs now. But, because you have simplex carbs and you have complex carbs, and we're getting too many simplex carbs, which is the sugar aspect of it. But when it comes to the complex carbs, 1 cup. 1 cup, which is the size of your fist. If you don't have a measuring cup, with you, you just look at your fist, ball your fist up real tight, and you measure your plate and see if you have, only 1 cup of mac and cheese on your plate or potato salad, and it's portion control, Benita, is what we
And
have
that's
to do.
one of the problems, though,
Yes.
if you eat out. I know
Too
we've all
much.
experienced that. The one meal is really 2.
Yes.
And they give you
so much nowadays.
They give you
They
so
really
much
do.
food at a restaurant.
really
You
do.
think, I've just got to finish it. I came up
Yes.
through the time period where you had to
You finish everything on your plate.
everything on your plate.
Right, yes,
My
yeah.
mother was a Southerner.
Oh, yes.
And, of course, she cooked like a Southerner.
Yes, mine too.
And she told us to eat like we were from the South. So you
Right.
better eat everything on your plate. But
your
now
plate.
with those portion control,
Yes.
with the portions they give you, it
Oh,
is
my
amazing how much food you get.
Yes. You go home, I think every restaurant I've ever eaten, I've always taken a doggy, bag home or extra plate because they just give you so much. But we have to be cognizant of that now, that we don't have to eat everything on our plate. It's not necessary. I eat till I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Not till I'm full. I eat till I'm satisfied. And a lot of times, if I ever went out with some friends or whatever to Golden Corral or a place where, all you can eat, I lose money, because I ate 1 plate and I'm done.
That's it.
And, they said, well, gosh, you're not getting your money's worth. I said, but I'm full.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied. And that's why, I feel my weight, maintains at a healthy weight because, I don't overeat. I eat what I need to be satisfied. And that's what we have to learn, to just eat, what you need to be satisfied.
That's what you need.
Yes.
And what do you see in your practice, Dr. Newby, in terms of the food connection?
Whole lot of fat people.
Uh-oh.
I mean, just we talked about that percentage at the beginning, and that's. I mean, I say that jokingly, but serious at the same time. That the population is becoming increasingly larger.
Right.
Partly because of that lifestyle, partly because of you go to Golden Corral, these other places where it's all you can eat buffet, and they try to get all you can eat.
Yep.
Till you're about to explode.
Exactly.
And
Sitting there for
unfortunately,
hours.
so then they go to bed.
Right. Yes.
Which
Yes.
is even worse. So
Right. Exactly.
I mean, just getting people, and I don't fault people because this is driven by the community at large. Again, you talk about having to finish your plate, or you go to any church functions now that it's going to be fried chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy,
that's right.
collard greens with
Collard
a bunch
greens,
of ham hock and whatever else
cooked
in there.
pork and ham and
So
stuff.
so and that is what we've learned to identify with, unfortunately. So, and again, it goes back to slavery times where. This is all we had.
That's what we had,
So
yeah.
you get used to it, and it goes generation to generation. The only downside, when you look at all the significant cardiac risks, is all higher in the African American community because of these lifestyle changes.
Right.
So for me personally, I tell people all the time, I'm a big low carb kind of guy. I anytime I want to lose weight, I cut back on the carbs, increase my activity, and that always equates to a better fitness situation for myself. And I tell people this all the time: if you're trying to not be on medicine, I have a lot of people that have this sense of saying if they got to take a pill, they have a problem with it, and I understand that. So I say, well, okay, if you're trying not to take medicine, then this is what you're going to need to do. I'm going to need you to cut back on X. I need you to cut back on Y. I need you to cut back on Z.
Yes, sir.
Your carbohydrate content needs to come down. Your weight needs to come down. Your activity needs to go up. What that's going to do, they say that a 10-pound weight loss equates to a 5-point drop in blood pressure.
Wow.
So if you're trying
Wow.
to get your pressure down without medicine, you need to cut back on the weight.
Right.
Now, and the sodium.
sodium.
Now, if you're trying to get rid of diabetes, I tell people all the time, you need to cut back on the carbohydrates.
Right.
Cut down on those carbohydrates, then that will lead to a lower blood sugar because most people have what they call type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is when your body doesn't produce insulin. Type 2 is when you got tons of insulin around, but you're resistant to it. That happens when you get overweight. Your fat cells start to fight off the glucose impact. So you got all this insulin hanging around, but it's not metabolizing the blood sugar. And those high insulin levels leads to something called oxygen-free radical production, which causes damage to blood vessels. So that's when you see this increased cardiovascular risk. So I tell people all the time, I say, and even when you come down to lipids or cholesterol, if you're trying, there's a head-to-head study looking at low carb versus low calorie diets. That was done about maybe 10, 15 years ago. They compared the two, looked at weight loss, total weight loss, and they also looked at safety and cholesterol levels. Mm-hmm. And what they found with that study was that the weight loss was the same between low carbohydrate and low calorie diets. The safety was the same, but the cholesterol profiles were markedly lower in low carbohydrate diet people. That's when you hear this, when they talk about like the Atkins diet or South Beach diet, and everybody says, oh, you're eating all that fat and all this stuff, and it's going to kill you, it's going to make cholesterol go up. It actually does the opposite. Now, I'm not advocating just eating fat back and bacon and sausage. I'm not saying that. But you have to understand, you got to be smart what you're eating. Yes, you do. Lean meats. I do a lot of chicken, turkey,
fish.
Yeah, fish. And I'm not a big fish person, but I'll tear up some white meat turkey.
I know that's right.
White meat chicken.
The chicken, yes, sir.
And I do vegetables, broccoli, green beans. I love that spinach.
Right.
And that's typically what my diet entails. I really cut back the bread. I don't eat bread with my meal.
Yeah, Doc. Yeah, same here, Doc.
Yeah, I don't
really
need
do a lot of bread.
Yeah,
I really don't.
But you have to get into a habit,
right?
And that's where people fail. Usually, the first few weeks of any change is the hardest.
It's the hardest part.
If you can get past that.
Yes, sir.
You got a fighting chance.
You absolutely do, and that's the key. So has that been one of your challenges? At 757, want to hear from you, 823-9110, 757-823-9110. What have some of your health challenges been, some of your weight loss challenges, or some successes that you've had? Because it is so important, especially in our African-American community. 757-823-9110. Ken, you wanted to jump in and say something about that?
Yes, like Doc said, your food choices are so key, and I notice a lot of times too when some ladies, have the issue with their weight. They're like, I just like a lot of bread, and they eat a lot of bread, and mostly white bread, and bread will go bad in my house, I mean, all the time. I got some on my fridge, on top of my fridge, even though it's, good stuff. I just do not eat a lot of bread. And that's why my weight stays down. But, you have to make healthy food choices, like Doc said. You have to have good carbs, but the carb, it's either one or two things. I always tell people, when they have a weight issue, usually it's either, too many carbs or too much sugar. Or both, and so you have to cut back on one or the other or both in order to, see your weight change. And like Doc said, the first few weeks are always the hardest in making that change. But, once you start eating good and start eating better, you find out it's not as bad as you think. People, I tell people all the time, you have to switch from, pork sausage to turkey sausage. Oh, well, it don't taste as good. Well, okay, you can have those health issues continuing and the obesity issues continuing if, you don't make the change. You can't have it both ways.
You absolutely can't have it both ways. So we're going to take a break right now. We invite you to call in with your questions, comments, success stories, and so forth at 757-823-9110, 823-9110. This is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here at Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their communities, and we're talking about health and fitness. In the studio, we have Dr. Keith Newby, who is a cardiologist, and Ken Williams, a fitness expert. Now, we have a couple of callers on the line, and we want to hear from you. The number again is 757-823-9110. Caller, what is your name, and where are you calling from, please?
Yes, how you doing here? My name is Kenneth. I'm calling from Portsmouth.
Okay, Kenneth, what is your question or comment? You're live on the air.
Yes, ma'am. I got a question for Dr. Newby. And I heard this infomercial about eggs. Okay, I'm a strong advocate of eggs. I don't eat the yolk, I just eat the whites, and I eat like 3 of them a day.
Mm-hmm.
But I cut back on them. And what you were saying, stay away from the other stuff that causes the health issues. I try to do lean meat like turkey. Would the whites create that high cholesterol, or would the yolks create it?
Well, actually, neither one. I mean, if you look at most data behind the egg scenario, is because there is you talk about protein, which part of that is going to have some cholesterol in it. So a lot of people will think because they're eating foods that may have, just like shrimp or other types of meats that may have cholesterol value in it, they think that that's going to increase their cholesterol level. But it's actually the opposite. Eggs are protein, essentially. And I advocate that. And I tell people all the time, we just as a people don't know how to curtail our intake. We'll do, say 3 eggs a day. But we're going to eat breakfast potatoes. We're going to eat sausage. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to eat we got some toast and some jelly.
Jelly.
Or butter, and
butter.
we can't seem to be able to do one or the other, or say that if you're going to have a lean meat like a turkey bacon or something with those eggs, you never ever hear me say anything about that. So I don't have any problems with what you're saying in terms of eting 3 eggs. If you want to eat 4 eggs a day, I'm fine with that. It's just other stuff. If you could keep the other stuff curtailed, I really say this in all sincerity, I think you'll be fine. It's just trying to find the balances where, I found we don't really understand where that balance lies, and that's where I think we run into problems. So, no, go for it, bro.
Yeah.
All right. And I want to thank you because you looked out for my grandmother and my father before they passed away. Oh. Their last names were Gotsey.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, so that was your grandparents?
It was my grandmother and my father.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate
I greatly
you saying.
appreciate that. I appreciate you for taking care of them. And I mean, man, I'm gonna tell you, I'm going to come see you. Let you check my heart out.
Anytime,
all right.
Bro. Anytime, bro. I got your back.
All right.
That's all right.
All right, Ken.
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for doing what you do, man.
Thank you, my brother.
Later.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ken, for calling.
All right. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So we were talking about the food and how important that is. So, Dr. Newby, what should a person do to take some steps? Let's do some ABCs, 1, 2, 3, in terms of health goals and creating health goals. What should they do? Where should they start?
Okay, I think, to me, the first thing is understand your health.
Okay.
I mean, before you do anything else, you need to know where you stand in your life with your own health. You get to that doc. And I tell people all that, I'm not saying you got to live in the doctor's office. Just go get yourself a basic assessment. Find out, do you have risk? Look at what your weight is. Get an honest opinion. People have this way of saying, "Oh, I'm big boned it." Well, whatever that means.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what that means.
Right.
But a lot of people have this sense of saying that, and they find a way to make excuse for their size. Right. Well, my whole family's big boned. Yeah, because y'all all eat too much.
Y'all eat too much, right?
So let's kind of get brass taxes. And I tell folks all the time, if I'm overweight, personally, I know why I'm overweight. I'm eating too much.
Eating too much. Right.
So when I curtail that back, things come down. Things get better. So the first thing is that. Second thing, once you identify what your risks are, then you set your plan for that goal. Mm-hmm. If you have hypertension, you need to cut back on the sodium content in your foods. You need to increase your activity because decrease the weight. All 3 of those together will lower your blood pressure without taking medication. Okay. So same thing with the diabetes, understanding your carbohydrate content. So I always say the first thing is that. Ken comes in because he can actually tell you, okay, how do you take what you know about yourself and create an exercise program that will help you achieve the goals you want to achieve.
Absolutely. We're going to get to that just a moment. We have a caller on the line. Let's take that call. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Lorinda from Norfolk.
Okay, Lorinda, what is your question or comment?
Hi, Benita. I was just calling just to give a shout out to Ken Williams and the Body Life
Lorinda.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah. Thank you.
Tell us about your experience. Tell us about your experience with your weight loss and your fitness goals and so forth.
Okay. Well, my experience with Ken, like I said, when I initially joined the boot camp about 2 years ago, I just left an appointment with my doctor for annual physical, and she wanted to, put me on, medication for diabetes. She was saying my blood pressure was like borderline, and I need to watch out for my cholesterol. And I really didn't want to take any medication, so I knew if I really just got my diet together and got my exercise on point that I could, try to fix all this with, just natural remedies without any medication. And then just working with Ken and the ladies, with all the ladies with the boot camp, within 1 year, I dropped about 22 pounds.
Yeah.
Went to my doctor. Went to my doctor about a year later, almost a year date, and she came back with the blood work, and she was really singing, saying your blood work was awesome. You don't have to take any medication.
Fantastic.
And whatever you're doing, just keep on doing it.
There you go. There you go.
And I just been, hanging in there and just sticking with it.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Really,
Yes.
like I said, it's really a great experience. Like you said, the ladies are super motivating. As you know, you're one of the super motivators out there, and it's really a great group and a great experience.
Lorinda, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks, Ken. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Now, I know you've heard that story many times, Ken.
Oh, yes, I tell you, and Benita, that's what I live for. When I hear people who come to me with those issues, those health issues, pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, cholesterol is out of line. And like Doc said, first start with your doctor. You have to start with getting a physical and finding out where you are. What's going on with me, And now, because, Benita, I'll take usually I have a health questionnaire that I have my students fill out, just like you do when you go to the doctor. I need to know what's going on with you. I need to know where you are, high blood pressure, cholesterol, bone issues, back issues. And then you can start on your fitness regimen, because now you understand, like you say, like doctor says, what is going on with your body.
That's right.
From that point, you can plan a blueprint of how to attack your health program. And now, in terms of your health issues, setting up a health goal, you're a smoker. So the first thing I got to do is stop smoking. And, or I drink, too much, alcohol. Well, you got to stop drinking. We have to eliminate that. These are a lot of factors, Benita, after I've taken people off wine, they've actually lost about 10 pounds, Doc. Wine is, it says good for your heart. Yeah. But not 2 bottles a week. Right?
A case a week, 2 bottles a day.
A day, right? Exactly, right. I just have a glass of wine when I come home, don't work to settle down, but I've seen the glass and there's a goblet. So I'm thinking, Doc, a little flute like they give you in the restaurant. No, sir, it's a goblet. So you're drinking a bottle of wine a week, okay? Maybe 2. So, and that, all that sugar, goes to your waistline and stuff. Mm-hmm. So you have to really assess your health, your diet. What do you do? And be realistic, about what am I eating bad? What am I doing? Is it my sugar intake? Do I eat too many sweets? I've seen people do that. I need to eliminate that. Dessert is your, fruit is your new dessert. The first thing I do, Doc, when I go into the store, I go straight to the fruit section, the fruit and vegetable section, and I start grabbing things. The first thing I grab, I grab stuff, snack foods. Things I'm going to have to eat, like at nighttime when I'm sitting at my computer, 12 o'clock at night. And that's when, we want sweets, because really what your body's doing, your blood sugar level's dropping. It makes you want something sweet to eat. Mm-hmm. So that's why people eat a lot of sweets at night. So what I do is I go in there straight way to feed that process. And that's where I grab my, my bananas, my nectarines, my oranges and stuff, my tangelos, stuff that I know that, I can eat that's not going to put weight on me. But it's natural sugar, and natural sugar, fructose, is not like man-made sugar. So it's not going to, put, a lot of fat on you like sugary foods, cookies and cakes and candies and stuff. So, it starts with just, really assessing where you are with your health issues, what's keeping me, as we say, what's keeping me fat, what's keeping me overweight, what's making me feel bad, what's causing diabetes, what's causing high blood pressure. And we have to eliminate those things from your diet. And now we have to supplement that with a exercise routine, not just, going to do a Groupon for 1 month, doing a yoga class here and stop for 2 months and start back up. You have to have a consistency, a consistent workout program, a consistent, exercise regimen, 3 days a week, at least 1 hour a day, I say, and just going to help you, stay healthy and fit and change your life.
Absolutely. And Dr. Newby, you mentioned again that they need to come in for an assessment, but have you found in your experience that sometimes people, they're like ostriches in the sand? They don't, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And so therefore they don't go.
Right. Well, they say ignorance is bliss.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to emphasize, when I say ignorance, I don't mean stupid. Ignorance means you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, so people will take the approach that if I don't talk about it, I don't deal with it, it's not there. It's going to be there. You can run, but you can't hide.
That's right.
You know, and just to chime in on one comment that Ken made, I want to make sure people understand that Ken is a healthy guy. He's thin, he's muscular, he exercises a lot. So when he says he's eating bananas and tangerines and stuff,
Right.
he's not trying to lose weight. He's trying to maintain where he is.
Right.
Those people that are trying to lose weight, because I get a lot of people eat 100 bananas a day,
Yes.
or they got they on like Lasix or diuretics.
Right. Yeah, diuretics.
And they say, oh, they told me eat bananas is going to help me keep my potassium level up, so they eat 20 bananas. I'm like, oh, but Doc, I'm not losing weight. Yeah.
Right.
You know how much sugar's in that thing?
Right.
And you're not exercising at all.
And exercising, right.
So you're I would tell people, if you know you're not exercising much, you need to. But if you know you're not and you're trying to go for the lower sugar type fruits. You know, go for like the honeydew melon or the cantaloupe or berries. You know, strawberries, blackberry, raspberries.
Blueberry.
Put a little bit of whipped cream on it that's lower in calorie. You know, and you can have your dessert.
Yep.
But you don't have a ton of sugar in it. You know, and you know, at least you'll see the health benefits of that.
Yes.
So I'm throwing that little 2 cents in there.
There you go.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Newby, we so appreciate you being with us. This has been Dr. Keith Newby, cardiologist at Fort Norfolk Plaza Medical Associates. Dr. Newby, how can they contact you if they want more information?
Well, they can call the office 757-624-1785, or you can visit our website, www.fortnorfolkmedical.com.
Absolutely. We so appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So, again, we want to hear from you, 757-823-9110. Keep it locked here at Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Benita Adams, and this is Hampton Roads Voices, where we hear from you. Don't forget to call in with your questions or comments. We're talking about health and fitness today. The number is 757-823-9110. A little earlier today, I had the pleasure of interviewing Miss Linda Murray. Now, Linda is an 8-time Miss Olympia. She's a bodybuilder and a fitness expert, and she's here in town. So I want you to go ahead and take a listen to her interview. Linda, this is fantastic. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I know you're in town for a particular event. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. But I just want to start out talking about overall health and fitness. That's what the show is about today.
Yes.
And it's so important whether you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond, 50s, 60s. Health is such an important part of our lives to really get things done that we're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
So overall, in terms of fitness, what is your philosophy?
You know, my philosophy in regards to fitness actually is to keep it simple. I think people complicate fitness. They also have a misunderstanding of what's involved. They want to complicate it. And then they also think that it's hard, but it's actually not hard. To me, what's hard is when you consistently, you know, you go through your 20s and let's say you pick up bad habits and you don't, exercise in your 30s. And man, when you pass the age of 35 and you don't have any type of understanding of the importance of exercise, that's when things get hard. Because when you exercise, you can go into your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, in your 70s, in your 80s, and the simple things that people take for granted, sitting in a chair, standing up, bending down, you will not try to fix your life with a pill, or you will have more faith in yourself instead of running to a doctor to think that he has the answer when you've been living in your body all your life. And when you exercise and you make it and you do simple things, you are much more connected to your body than any physician could ever be.
You know, Linda, I'm really glad that you said that, because so many times, because we do place so much faith in the medical community, there's nothing wrong with that. But when we go in, we say, I have this pain here, or something's wrong, or it's not right. And the medical professional who is not in tune to what we're saying says, oh, no, you only have that, or they try to poo-poo it. we don't have that confidence in ourselves. But when you say know your body, this body you've had all your life,
Absolutely.
I love that you say that
Yes.
because it gives us the confidence to say, no, I know what I need to do.
Yes, absolutely. You need to like know your body, and I've especially learned that as when I started to as the age of 45, just how I respond to certain foods. When I have a backache or my knee bothers me, or I know why. Sometimes, I did this, let me give it a couple days, or I can't eat this number of carbohydrates per day, or caffeine. I'm starting to have, hot flashes from drinking too much caffeine or having a little bit too much wine. And so instead of running to the doctor and, so yeah, you definitely have to know your body.
You have to know your body. So you say keep it simple. Keep
it simple.
What does that mean?
Keep it simple. Keep it simple means that when you start an exercise program, let's say you don't exercise at all. Keep it simple. Walk around the block. Say, okay, when I get home from work, instead of me running in the house and taking care of the kids and immediately jumping into, whether it be before you go to work or let's say after work, walk around the block and then go in the house.
Okay.
Keep it simple. Don't think, let me go out and buy a gym membership. Let me go out and, start some rigorous weight training or exercise program. Just really keep it simple and take baby steps, one foot in front of the other. So if you join the gym, that's great. You can join a gym and just go in the gym and sit there and do nothing, because part of exercise and working out is getting there. So you have to train yourself to get there. So even if you just go and you sit in the lobby and you watch the people walk in and out, you become comfortable in that environment, in that atmosphere.
Absolutely. I like that you say that. If you just get there.
Just get there.
If you're at home and you keep second guessing yourself, but if you're there in the environment, as you said, and you look around, you go, hey, maybe I can do this. I like that you say that.
Yes.
Now, what's the mind-body connection you're talking about? And I'm seeing that and sensing you're saying that it is a mental, psychological aspect, but there's a physical aspect. Talk about the connection there.
Yes, definitely. For sure, it starts with the mind. When, my good friend, Ken, Body by Ken, personal trainer, he and I go back a long way, and we always talk about the importance of, when you look at the word, the personal trainer, like personal, it's really about when you take on a client, what's going on inside of you. Because I'll spend 1 hour with you, and then the other 23 hours of the day, you have to get your sleep. You have to, what's going on inside of you. Because a lot of times, with food and lack of exercise, like a lot of it is something going on that's probably blocking you.
So how does one change their mindset? What about the person? Let's take a scenario. What about the person that says, well, everybody in my family, we're all big. All the women are really big women, and I like the way I look, and my man likes the way I look, and I don't see anything wrong with how I'm eating. And why do I need to change?
Okay. I got a great.
What about her?
First of all, I want to say to you, this is not about your size. Okay? It's not about your size. It's about exercise. It's about health. It's about feeling good. It's about feeling good, mentally and physically. When you exercise, oh my goodness, it's a high. I can't tell you, as long as I've been exercising, I go in the gym many days and I'm like, oh gosh, I really don't feel like this. And when I leave, I feel like $1,000,000.
Yep.
And I've been doing this all my life. So ladies, I understand. Nobody's trying to take away your butt or say you like yourself. Listen, trust me. A lot of you're not feeling good and you don't realize it. exercise is not about a size 2. It's not about a size 22. You could be a size 22 and walk and look and feel great. Or you could be a size 22 and just not be happy and, not feel confident. I see women that are confident in a size 22, a size, So it's really about feeling good. If they could really understand that, that's what it's about.
I like that you say that. I have met younger people, much younger than myself, who even are thin. And yet, I remember one young lady told me she couldn't even walk up a flight of steps. And yet, had you looked at her, you would have thought, oh, she's young, she's slim, she must be fit. Not necessarily. So I like that you say that. So
yes.
it's a mindset,
It's saying. It's a mindset. So, you could be a small girl and, you don't feel well. I mean, you're not at your best. And that's where the thing for me and my exercise program is, stretching is very important. Meditating is very important. Because the way I walk and the way I move also says something about age. I see some ladies in their 30s, 35, 40, and the way they move, I'm like, you're moving like you're 55. And I know I'm 56, and come on.
That's right.
That's ridiculous. So it's movement. It's being functional, functioning, sitting up, just being mobile.
Where's the nutritional piece? How does that fit in there? Talk a little bit about that, because eating is such a big part of it. How does it fit in?
Yeah, exercise, nutrition is very important. Very, very, very important. That's why I say, as a personal trainer, we can train you for an hour, but you can go out there and do a lot of damage. And, so it's really important in the sense of, first of all, just a lot of the issues that, we find, diabetes and, high blood pressure, hypertension. So at a certain point, what people have to understand is when you're young, the body recovers and repairs itself very quickly. As you get, I'm going to say about at 35, to me, the 30s is the best time of your life, because you're reaching that peak. It's like the best time of your life, ladies. So don't ever let somebody, when you turn 30, don't trip. It's a beautiful place to be. It is a absolutely beautiful place to be, and especially if you start to take on and understand the importance of exercise and understand the importance of nutrition. But what you eat means a lot, because at the age of 35, you can't exercise off the amount of food. If you're taking in 2,500 calories a day, in order for you to, when you were in your 20s, it's easy to exercise that off, to burn those calories. But when you're at a certain age, 30, it's definitely a different situation. So you want a balanced meal. You want to eat 1,500, 2,000 calories per day. And you want it to be balanced. And carbohydrates, the number one, I'm going to say, enemy for a lot of us.
Okay.
Carbohydrates. Watch your carbohydrate intake. Take in look at how many carbohydrates you're taking in a day. I think 300 is the recommended daily allowance, which 300 is kind of high. 300 is good if you exercise and you're weight training and doing cardio. But you want to be at 150 grams per day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can imagine that most people eat maybe 3 times.
3 times.
That amount.
3 times that amount. They do. They do.
Lastly, as we're closing, talk about the journey and how things are different as a woman ages, as a person ages. How a person sees fitness in their 20s, 30s, 40s versus 50s, 60s, and maybe even a little bit older. How should it change? How should we do it then?
Yes. Well, especially today with the craze of all of these different types of gimmicky exercise programs. Back in the day, we did not. They would sell these simple programs, little devices. Suzanne Summers would have a little inner and outer thigh thing. But now they've got this craze where everybody's doing all this really hardcore stuff. Well, when you're in your 20s, that's okay. And if you look at professional athletes put their bodies through a lot of that kind of stuff, but they're getting paid millions of dollars. And when you look at professional athletes when they're in their 50s and their 60s and their 70s, they're beat up. So if you're not a professional athlete, you should not be doing a lot of high impact types of exercises that could really hurt the body. Mm-hmm. So, for example, for me now, like I don't really do any jumping. Some women can jump. Because I'm a professional athlete, I had some knee injuries in the past. So those types of things I don't do. But stretching is so very important for me. My meditation is so very important for me because that helps me to get it done. And weight training is so very important for women. Mm-hmm. It's so important. It's not ladies, you're not going to be as big as Linda Murray, Miss Olympia. You're not going to be as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a myth, but I think more than anything, women use it as an excuse because it's just to weight train is like a little bit challenging maybe because you have to have a little bit more knowledge in regards to instead of just getting out and walking. But weight training is the same as resistance training. It doesn't mean that you have to go in the gym and lift heavy weights. You don't even have to go in the gym. You know, that's why I love working with some of my great friends like Ken, who he teaches women how to train and use their own body weight.
Absolutely. To
do simple things. Squatting's important. Lunging's important. Push-ups. To train the back of your arms, you know. So it's resistance training and it's weight training at the same thing, you know.
Linda, give that one person out there who is considering they're on the edge, they're just about ready to start. Please give them a word of encouragement as we close.
Mm-hmm. Listen, it's never too late. Never too late. And the word of encouragement is to really like try to get into like meditation. I'm a Christian. I'm also one that I connect with God and my higher power, and I cannot do what I do without starting my day off right by just keeping it simple and just sitting still. Just sit still and try to connect and get out of your head. What's in your head is not real. It's not too late. You're not too fat. You're not too skinny. You're beautiful. And just put one foot in front of the other and just go out there and just every time something comes in your head that's negative and say no. No.
Linda, thank you.
You're welcome.
We've been hearing from Linda Murray, 8-time Miss Olympia, bodybuilder, fitness expert, I'm going to say encourager extraordinaire. This is Benita Adams. This is Hampton Roads Voices. Stay locked in here at Hot 91.
Is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
Thanks so much, everybody. That was a wonderful interview. Earlier we had with Linda Murray, 8-time Miss Olympia, bodybuilder and fitness expert. Earlier you also heard from Dr. Keith Newby, cardiologist from Fort Norfolk Plaza Medical Associates. Now for the remainder of our time, we still have in studio Ken Williams. Ken is a fitness expert, award-winning personal trainer, boot camp women, Body by Ken, and trainer to the stars. So Ken, let's unpack just a little bit about what Linda said. Yes. And one of the things that I really like that she said was, she said it's not about so much a size. It isn't if you're a 2 or 18 or 14 or 26 or whatever she said, right. But it's about feeling good mentally and physically. And I know you come across women every day knowing that it has to be that mental physical combination.
Oh, yes, you know, and like she said, it's not about being a size 2. It's about being fit. It's about being healthy.
Right.
It's about feeling good. It's about feeling more energetic. Have more energy to to play with your kids, your grandkids. To go about your daily life. Feeling good. Healthy at work, and that's what the main focus should be when you're embarking upon a fitness journey, is to think about, okay, I just want to feel better, and a lot of times, people come to, we have, Linda Murray, 8-time Miss Olympia, let me just kind of, let everybody, understand just who she is. She is a fitness legend. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's, has, Lord, he's governor of, California at one point, 7-time Mr. Olympia. And, he got into movies by being, 7-time Mr. Olympia, and that was his claim to fame. And so she was 8-time Miss Olympia. So she sits in the ranks of people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is world renowned. And so is she. And she was just voted to Fitness Hall of Fame here recently. But she is amazing. And like she said, at 56 years old, if she said she was 36, you would believe her.
Oh, you would believe her.
All right. You wouldn't raise an eyebrow. Okay.
You wouldn't believe it.
All right.
But let's take the woman who says, I need to create some fitness goals.
Yes.
I need to know some ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. I want to get in shape, and I don't want to be Linda Murray.
Right.
I just want to be the best me I can possibly be. Give us some tips.
Yes. Okay. Well, you identify, first of all, like Dr. Newby said, identify who you are, where you are with your fitness levels, go to the doctor, get an assessment, I tell you, Benita, one of the best clients I had was a lady who actually went to the doctor, got her health assessment, and they gave her a printout, a breakdown of what her, where she was, with her fitness, and her DNA and everything. And it also told her what she was lacking in terms of her vitamin levels, she needed more vitamin D in her diet. She needed more protein in her diet. She needed a little bit more magnesium. So, find out exactly what's going on with your body. Do I have high blood pressure? Do I have high cholesterol? Identify, where you are, with your fitness level. And then create a regimen. Find out, what works for you in terms of, a fitness program. What's fun for you? Don't get off the couch and say, I want to run a marathon, and you can't, walk to the block without getting tired. You want to make sure that you do something that's fun for you, something where you can kind of ease into fitness, and do your personal best and feel accomplished. Then you go on to the next thing. Then you go to boot camp. Then you go to a CrossFit program. Then you go to a mud run. But take baby steps. Baby steps so you can be successful. And 3, preventative. I always say, supplements, making sure you're taking the proper vitamins, taking your proteins, going to the health food store, going to your vitamin shop, your GNCs, and getting those supplements that you need, because we do need those. We don't get them through sometimes people, because we're so busy now. We're a fast, convenience crazed society, so we don't always get what we need in terms of the recommended daily requirement from our foods, because we don't eat enough. So you have to do a supplement, which means in addition to what you're taking in. You can't. So people say, what can I do? Protein shake as a meal replacement. I didn't say replacement. I said a supplement. So preventative. Some people say, well, Lord, vitamins are so expensive. I said, well, it's expensive to be sick too. So is high blood pressure pills. So is pills for high cholesterol. So you're going to pay one way or another. I'd rather pay on the front end, Benita, which is preventative, and have my cabinet filled with protein and, magnesium and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to, high blood pressure pills and all that kind of stuff.
So Kim, we have about a minute and a half. How can they find you?
They can find me at www.bodybyken.net, Body by Ken on Instagram, and Body by Ken on Facebook. And you can go up there and you can see all the exercise that we do and all the fun that we have and the camaraderie and all that kind of good stuff in Boot Camp with Body by Ken. And also, too, you can call me, too, at 757-450-4094.
Absolutely. And so we've been talking about blacks and health and fitness and looking at what it takes to really be the best you can possibly be. We've heard from Dr. Keith Newby, cardiologist, Fort Norfolk Plaza Medical Associates, Ken Williams here in the studio, fitness expert, Boot Camp Women, Body by Ken, an award-winning personal trainer. And we heard the interview from Linda Murray, 8-time Miss Olympia, bodybuilder and fitness expert. This has been Benita Adams. Don't forget to contact me to let us know what you want to hear about. That is bkadams@nsu.edu. This is Hampton Roads Voices, where people speak life into their communities on Hot 91.
is Hampton Roads Voices on Hot 91.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not those of Norfolk State University or WNSB FM. Thank you for listening.